Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Well, the weekend in review, well, start with college baseball, I suppose. LSU losing 2 out of 3 at Kentucky, Tulane losing 2 out of 3 at Houston, and UNO getting swept over at Austin against Texas. Southeastern beat Nichols 2 out of 3, so not a particularly good weekend for the locals.
Not here in Southeast Louisiana. The best weekend was probably up in Lafayette, UL Lafayette, with a week-long sweep. Got them back into the top 25 at D1Baseball.com. LSU went to Kentucky, played another good team. That's what you expect to happen. The home team win 2 out of 3, much like Tulane in Houston. The thing that's disappointing on both ends with LSU, what's been kind of their bell cow all year has been their starting pitching. Well, their starting pitchers didn't even average getting out of the 4th inning over the course of the weekend. And for Tulane, letting that game on Saturday slip away. They had a 4-run lead in the 6th inning, could not hold it, and as a result, and then losing the game on Sunday, ended up losing 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that was a disappointing aspect, obviously. So move forward with college baseball. High school baseball playoff pairings announced. You can read the reviews and the bracket breakdowns at SportsNOLA.com on both the select and non-select sides of things. 12 teams, or 12 classes, I should say. Overall, 12 teams. Wishful thinking. That sounds like one of the brackets, actually.
Yeah, there's only 12 teams in one of them, I'm sure. It's not much. But, yeah, when we get to 3 weeks from now, they'll be handing out 12 trophies in Sulphur, much like they'll do this weekend in softball. It'll be a busy time. It's good for the trophy makers, I guess.
Very much so. And, of course, you can follow our continuing coverage at SportsNOLA.com. We have a live stream of the opening round playoff game between the 8th seed, the Huntville Tigers, and the Thibodeau Tigers, the 25th seed, a district rematch, coming up Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Watch it live at SportsNOLA.com.
Should be fun. Huntville and Trahan, the 2 highest seeded teams, at least on the non-select side. They're at home in the first round. They win. They'll be home for the second round series. But then they're going to have to go win on the road if they're going to advance to Sulphur.
Very much so. And, of course, turning our attention to the big events of this week. It's a really big week. We mentioned the softball championships in Sulphur. But here in New Orleans, you have the Zurich Classic, and things underway on Monday with the first Pro-Am and, of course, the tournament itself running Thursday through Sunday. Could be a little bit windy. At this point, knock on wood, it looks like a slim chance of rain Thursday through Sunday, but not much, and that's good news. And, of course, the brand-new format with a substantial field of outstanding players here this week.
Yeah, 7 out of the top 10, and I will be interested to hear what the players have to say, because if you get that, the players listen to what other players are saying, and I think that's going to dictate the success of this tournament going forward, just how this format works and what kind of reception they get from the players.
Well, it's a one of a kind. It's the only one of its kind, so I think it's going to go over well, frankly, and hopefully it will result in more top players returning next year. Ironically, this coming just after Bayou Oaks Open last week.
Right, on Friday, the actual unveiling of the course. Long time coming. Really, this is an idea that came to fruition back in 2003. It predates Katrina and obviously, everything that happened with City Park, and for this whole area in Hurricane Katrina really kind of, put some things on the back burner, and it was slow to get back started again. But here it is now, and they're very hopeful of trying to, provide a, high-quality product that's within the city of New Orleans that players can go play. It was interesting, Reese Jones making the analogy to arguably the 2 most visible public courses in the United States, Bethpage Black in New York, Torrey Pines in California, which he had a hand in designing both of those.
And, of course, the other major event of the week, the NFL Draft, and everyone watching the New Orleans Saints very closely to see what they plan on doing. I think they will keep the 11th overall pick, and you can take your best guess there with 3 or 4 players that could be there based on what's happened. Will Reuben Foster slip by the nature of what transpired last week? I think that's possible. Maybe he's not part of the mix now at that pick, which would eliminate one of the considerations. Otherwise, the big question would be what happens with the 32nd pick and whether or not the Saints, in fact, package that pick as part of a deal for Malcolm Butler. It remains to be seen. It's hotly debated, and obviously, to me, that's the big storyline.
I think so, and be interesting to see how it all plays out. Again, I'm more the cautious type to say keep the pick, wait and see. If you really feel like you need to make a deal, go make a deal for a 2018 pick, perhaps. Let's see. Peter King in his column at the MMQB this morning said, he's hearing that the Saints are more inclined to stand pat in at least the first 2 rounds. Now, I hope that doesn't include not trading down. I really think, especially, and that's one of the reasons that he said the Saints feel like their board from 25 to 75 is full of players who can really play the game. And obviously they're sitting there with, 32, with 42, with, was it 73 or 74? But they've got 3 picks in there, maybe don't want to get out of it. I hope they also think about if somebody comes calling at 11 to trade back and maybe get an extra pick in that area.
They haven't done it, and we've been undergoing and going through a series of Saints drafts and what could have been, and it's not critical. It's just looking back at what happened and maybe what could have been for the Saints with players, and we're almost to the end of that now. When it's concluded, by the way, we will have one final piece, which is going to be the greatest picks in New Orleans Saints history and run them down for you. But the bottom line is, when you look back over time, Lenny, I think it's safe to say that the negatives outweigh the positives where the NFL draft is concerned for the New Orleans Saints. The really good drafts were 1981, 1986, and 2006 in Saints history.
No doubt. I think you hit the nail on the head. And, well, I think it's too early to tell about these last couple of drafts, and it will certainly be, everyone is going to be happy with what they do come Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's not unlike National Signing Day in football. No one ever has a bad class, right? But the product on the field will play itself out over the course of 2 or 3 years, and you'll see just exactly what you have in terms of quality of draft picks.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the last time they had 2 number 1 picks, not too long ago, Cameron Jordan and Mark Ingram, and they traded up to get Ingram. So
right. Well, they didn't start the day with 2. They made the late trade to trade back into the first round to get Ingram. Coincidentally enough, with the Patriots, who seemingly have been their most common bedfellow, if you will.
Yeah,
when
they
it comes
did
to
in
trade.
2008 as well when they got Cedric Ellis and the Patriots got Gerard Mayo. But in the same deal, the Saints ended up with Carl Nix, so that one worked out pretty well.
It did. So look, it's a lot of fun to speculate between now and Thursday. A lot of eyes will be on what happens Thursday night, no question.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great week of sports here in the New Orleans area. And last but not least, spring games for Tulane and LSU. At Tulane, it's pretty clear Jonathan Banks is going to be the starting quarterback for them. At LSU, who knows what's going on there. Miles Brennan there watching, and maybe this kid comes in and has a shot in the fall. I didn't think he would, but they could not have been encouraged by what they saw from any of their quarterbacks. Danny Etling still has to be the favorite. He's got the year under his belt, 1 games. But McMillan, Narcisse, Scott, look, Lenny, there's an opening here.
Certainly. And I think it's going to be very hard for a true freshman to come in without having been in there in spring ball, an early enrollee like a Narcisse was this year, to come in and earn the job. That's just in a college offense. That's just hard to do, especially one that Matt Canada's got a very diverse, multiple offense that shows a lot of things. They showed a little bit of it on Saturday. Clearly not everything. It's one of those things where he probably wanted to put some things on film to get you thinking about some things, especially if you're BYU and basically you're going to have nothing to go by on what LSU does. So you had to believe some of that. And you could say, look, the defense played well. I think, the cautiousness and what they did on offense has got to be a part of what it is exactly they put out on tape Saturday.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank. First NBC Bank is a proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.